I'm Zach Snyder.
And I'm Aden Matthews.
And welcome back to another YouTube podcast. One-stop shop for anything and everything related to YouTube.
The show where Aden eats a thing of Captain D's before we record.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Right.
I've never heard of it.
It's a seafood place. It's like Long John Silver's. Oh. It's the alternative, if you will.
Okay.
It's fine. The fish is okay. I was a little less impressed with their shrimp. Shrimp was not on point. Some of them were missing tails. And the shrimp themselves, they were fried, which is like okay. But I'm one of those weird people who like them cold for the most part.
That's fair.
I don't like hot shrimp a whole lot of the time. So that may have been my issue. But yeah, would not recommend.
Would not recommend. Last time I had Long John Silver's, their food is just so fucking salty. Yeah, that it was kind of hard to eat.
The only cool thing about Captain D's, in my opinion, was they had a cheesecake. You could order cheesecake, and I'm like a pretty big fan of cheesecake, but you can't get it anywhere, fast food wise, unless you like go to the grocery store or whatever and get it that way. But like, no, fucking Captain D's, you can just order cheesecake. It's kind of dope.
That's kind of epic.
It's kind of epic.
Cool.
For sure.
Well,
what are we talking about today, Zach?
Well, we're going to talk about versatility on YouTube.
Wow.
So
I would explain what that means, but
like YouTube, if you're a YouTuber and you make YouTube videos, you usually have to wear a lot of hats. You on camera, you're editing, you're writing, you're doing all these different things. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how there's a lot to being on YouTube, how it's not just one single thing, and how there's a specific mindset that you have to have surrounding it.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to do for sure, and tackling it all and learning those skills is a huge part of the job.
This is true.
But we'll be talking about that bad boy later. But first, what did you think I was gonna say? First, it's our week on YouTube trademark. Well, you're wrong. Okay? What do you think we're predictable? You think we just do the same thing every time on this podcast? Wrong. We're changing it up.
That's right.
We're actually reading a hashtag sponsor.
We got to sponsor everybody, kind of.
I've never done one of these before, so I'm pretty nervous, actually, about it. But we'll go ahead and try. Our sponsor today, ladies and gentlemen, is the lovely people at the Awesome Creator Academy with the YouTube Starter Kit. If you're getting started on YouTube and you have a little bit of money to throw around, why not check out the YouTube Starter Kit? For a low price of $99, you get over $1,500 of value and dozens of downloads, from templates for advanced YouTube thumbnails, channel artwork, end cards, lower thirds, to royalty-free and background music, fonts, and more. Pay one price and have unlimited. That's a lot of no limits. Unlimited access to future downloads as they come out. Check out the link in the description or the show notes, and in doing so, you'll be supporting the good boys here at another YouTube podcast.
This is true. But, of course, if you don't have $100, but you still want to support the podcast financially, you can still become a supporter on Anchor, anchor.fm/another-YouTube-podcast. You can decide to support us financially at $1, $5, or $10 a month. We'll even read your name on the podcast. We've done it before, so definitely hit that up if you're interested. While we do want to do this podcast for a really long time, the more financial support we have, the easier it will be to maintain a consistent schedule.
Because we're the masters of consistency.
That's right.
Your financial support just helps that a ton. But thank you to the lovely people at Awesome Creator Academy. And with all that being said, let's go ahead and hop into our week on YouTube.
Oh, everybody's favorite segment. Yo, actually,
yes,
I do have one other housekeeping thing.
Another one?
We have an official email now.
Oh, yeah, we do. Yeah. I forgot about
Another YT podcast at gmail.com. I was going to get another YouTube podcast, but somebody already has it.
Beautiful.
So, another YT podcast at gmail.com. So, please send us topics, suggestions, questions, comments, etc., etc. Anything that you want us to talk about on the show. You can send it there, or you can always comment in the on the YouTube channel or use the Anchor call-in or whatever. We'll
however you want to do it, basically. The main idea was we were just tired of using Zach's email. And now we have an official one.
So now we have an official one. It's a little easier to remember for the podcast.
Yeah. Now you can write it down, put it wherever, write your questions, however you want to do it, or just, again, like Zach said, comment on YouTube and all the other podcast platforms. But thank you for bringing that up, actually, because I forgot about it.
Yeah, boy. But now,
yeah,
let's get into everybody's favorite segment.
For real. This has been interrupted twice. But this time, we're actually going to talk about your week on YouTube trademark.
Heck yeah.
Beautiful.
Think. So, first off, it's been like a month since we last recorded. But here's the positive.
Should you say that at the start of every
episode,
of every podcast?
But
even if it hadn't been a month.
Here's the positive thing. This is Friday. Sunday we have episode 40 coming out, and then next Sunday is when this episode comes out, which means we're officially a week ahead, but we have episodes coming out. So it's like the good old days, which is really cool.
And comments to read too.
With comments to read, I'm hype. I don't know if you are, but I'm hype.
By the way, too, with episode 40 in particular, I hope you guys like that. I mean, I know at the time of recording this,
Me too.
Y'all hadn't heard it yet, but like by the time this is out, you'll have heard it. That episode was a lot of both of us to record, and will probably even be more so on Zach's end editing it.
Yeah.
So more than the regular episodes. If you haven't checked out episode 40, I highly recommend it. That was a lot from both of us, and we did it for you all. Thought you would enjoy it. I enjoyed it a lot. I'm super excited to hear back on the comments from that episode in particular.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah. But now that we've interrupted the segment for the third time now, let us finally get into your week on YouTube trademark. For real.
Do you want to start this one or do you want me to?
For real. Whose turn is it? We were keeping track of turns.
I think it's your turn, but I don't remember.
I've lost it. I think it's your turn.
I think it's your turn.
But I don't want to do it.
I don't want to start, so...
I'll start. Okay. August was a wild month for me, production-wise, of getting stuff out there, of uploading things, and September already is starting to look like that, even though I don't have anything out. I have a lot of projects that are in the works right now, and a good portion of them, almost all of them, are about 50% or more done.
That's awesome.
But because my internet is trash, they're all probably going to come out later than expected, because I can't upload on weekends, and really the only time I have to do that is at my mom's work, which is a weekday, and then I waste that whole weekday uploading stuff, and then finally get back. It's a huge mess. Anyway, not the point.
Yeah.
But August had a lot of stuff, whether we're talking about the Lions Honor Gaming channel, where I got an entire old Worldwide Meme Kirby Dream Land 3 series edited, uploaded, thumbnails, all that sort of stuff figured out and done. Or if we're talking about Monthly Battle League, which finally had all the Season 3 videos uploaded, including bonus content featuring every single battle from the Monthly Battle League recorded and uploaded on YouTube. That way, there's sort of a backup for all of them in case the Showdown replays go down, which they have before. So that was a bit of a future-proofing on my end.
For sure.
Aden on Acre had like 3 episodes in August. It already has one out for this month in September, one that I'm really proud of.
I like that episode a lot.
Really? Yeah.
It was really good. Yeah.
I like it too.
I forgot to tell you, but yeah, I listened to it a couple nights ago, and it was good. It was really, really good.
It was hype. I don't usually record them in the afternoon, but that one was like, yo, I got a lot to talk about. So that shit hype. Some of that stuff in that episode actually we'll probably talk about in this section, but I'll save that for later.
For sure.
And then as far as Blue Couch Productions is concerned, I got the Star Fox Zero episode out of Back to the Video Games, one that I've talked about with Zach doing for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
Star Fox Zero kind of got onto the lineup pretty quickly once I bought it, because it was I had already mentioned it in the Starlink episode, if you recall, and then when I got it for pretty cheap, I'm like, yo, I should cover this game on Back to the Video Games, and I finally did. And toward the end of the month, I had got it out with a pretty kick-ass thumbnail, IMO, one of my better ones. It's just Fox's face in the logo, but it looks so nice.
Yeah, I really like it.
I'm a big fan. Oh yeah, and I guess we redid all the Back to the Video Games thumbnails again.
Okay.
The style seems to change like every month, but this one I'm even more happy with than the one previous. So they keep getting better in my opinion. And a lot of the older ones look pretty good. Zach also helped me out with the Kirby one and the Tecmo Bowl thumbnail, both of which look so much better now. But yeah, no, the Star Fox Zero episode, I just rewatched it like yesterday. Probably one of my favorites, honestly. I thought when I had done it, it was kind of just a middle of the road episode, but after looking back on it, I really do like not only the humor in it, but the pacing in it, the amount of gameplay stuff, the visual gags, the B-roll, and the length of it all. I felt was just kind of like perfect for Back to the Video Game stuff. So I think like it kind of started out being a middle of the road episode for me, but by the time I finished watching it and everything, I was like, this might be one of the best ones actually. I kind of had a 180 on it.
Yeah, it's definitely one of my favorite.
It's solid. Yeah, and then other projects. Zach was getting the another YouTube podcast stuff out, which is hype. I got a lot of stuff planned for September, like another Lions Honor Gaming series I'm currently working on. Recording more of these YouTube podcasts, keeping up with Aden on Anchor. Oh yeah, and 2 Back to the Video Games this month is the plan. I recorded one of them yesterday. So we'll see how long that one takes to produce. It's a bit of a shorter topic and a shorter episode, but one that I've been meaning to talk about. So that'll be coming out soon, and that'll be episode 9, I believe. So we'll have episode 9 and 10 come out sometime this month.
That's hype.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
I don't think I've done more than one episode a month since like January.
Wow.
January had like the first 3 episodes, and then every other one I believe is like one a month. So yeah, that'll be cool. But I think that's about it. The only other thing is the health stuff, but I guess I'll sort of toss it over to you because it was a bit of both of us.
Yeah, we can talk about that at the end for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But as far as like production and creative stuff, no, it's been really good. I've had one of the most productive periods of Blue Couch Productions and the side project shit of sort of giving each project their own time, working on them, taking good breaks in between, and getting a lot done, not only content-wise, but also having a big content that I'm proud of and that I really like. So, yeah, it's been pretty cool for me recently. I think I listed everything. I might have forgot something, but I'm pretty sure. Oh, the websites, the comedy music album.
Yeah, that's right.
Up and out of there. I don't think we talked about that. Working on the second album now. Zach's heard a few tracks. There's some wild and shit. There's some wild and shit. I was thinking about yesterday, like, if people actually hear the second album, like, how I'm gonna be viewed in the future. I don't know. I don't want to spoil it, but it's crazy shit. Honestly, it's crazy shit. But yeah, that's been my week on YouTube overall. Good last couple of days, honestly.
Awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so last couple of weeks have been super productive as far as my own shit, and it hadn't been like this in a long time. So I'm also really excited about that. I started streaming again. I've gotten my new stream schedule Friday through Sunday has been sticking pretty good. Got 6 streams out of that, which is really cool.
Good streams too. They're pretty hype.
Yeah, they've been really fun. I've been doing like shorter games, just kind of beating a game in one stream, and it's been pretty cool. I've been getting the personal channel back up and running. I don't remember if I talked about this on the show or not, but I changed my old Let's Play channel to a personal channel.
Yeah.
And I started doing some things on it back in like June, July. No, I think it was a little bit before that. Anyways, sometime this year I started that channel back up. Started doing more topics based on like creative burnout as a freelancer and my trip to Japan 2 years later, and just kind of like more personal topics and stuff. Moved all the old Ask Zachs over there, and started attaching part of it to my Patreon page, where I do these shorter videos where I talk about a topic that people suggest as the $3 tier. And those have been pretty fun to get back into because I've put out 9 videos on that channel in the past 2 weeks, and that's pretty cool.
I'm such a fan of really like small micro content like that, where the basic idea is you get a microphone, you get your webcam, and you just sit in front of the camera and you talk for like 5-7 minutes, make a little snazzy thumbnail, and then upload it in like an hour, and then you're like done for the day, right?
Yeah, it's really fun to do, and it makes me feel like I've accomplished something.
I agree. I did that a lot on early Blue Couch Productions with the midnight vlog type stuff.
Yeah.
So it's been really cool to see you tackle not just video game stuff, but just whack ass weird shit on the daily. Yeah. I don't know what I'm gonna get from that channel, but I'm always surprised when I see it.
Yeah, I don't know what you're gonna get from that channel every day, but like I've been like coming up with some wild stuff. I have a lot of pre-planned content on there already. I'm starting the Music Monday thing over there. Originally, I was going to be on Your Everyday Nerd, but it's going to be on that channel now. I did a video about Papa John's Pizza.
Yeah.
And that one was really fun and really funny to do. So, yeah, it's been really cool to do that. But I also brought back Your Everyday Nerd Season 2. Whoa. I had this planned back in like July, and now it's September. So yeah. Moving on. I've gotten.
All right. I'm just so happy.
I'm excited. I'm really excited about it. I'm glad that people already the first couple episodes that are out, and I've got a new episode coming out today. They're doing well. And it's pretty cool. I did an episode on Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase. And
with a pretty awesome thumbnail.
I love that thumbnail. And then I did an episode about Minecraft because it's really popular. And I like that episode a lot too.
Can I tell you?
Yeah.
Zach had asked me what I thought of the Minecraft episode before we started recording. I'm like, I'll save it for the podcast. Mm-hmm. And basically, I think like in the history of Your Everyday Nerd, like of all the episodes, that Minecraft one for me, and it's only been like a day or so, is already, I think, in like the top 10.
I think so too, honestly.
Yeah. And you know why? It wasn't the gags, it wasn't the gameplay, it wasn't the normal like review commentary stuff that you usually do for games like this. It was the whole storytelling aspect to it. Where like we get this story of Zach not playing Minecraft, and then we follow you and sort of you document the first early baby steps.
Yeah.
Which I had no idea you were recording, by the way, until after I saw the episode. I'm like, you recorded that fucking pumpkin house and all this shit?
So, not really.
You did? You cheated?
Ooh, I didn't record that. So I hit up Jay, what was it, Wednesday, and I was like, yo, can you record a thing for me for a Minecraft video? He was like, sure. And so I told him, I said, I'm going to rebuild the pumpkin house. And I need you to make me do this thing that happened the first time I played it.
So that dialogue we hear in the video is all made up.
It's all made up for that, yeah. But it sounds pretty realistic.
I had no idea. I was fooled.
Yeah.
I was fooled. Incredibly. But no, like the whole storytelling aspect of it, it's like it became less a Minecraft review and more of just like your experiences with the game and the stories you told about it. I just thought were like, and I knew all of them, right? Because I was there for a lot of them, but it was just fascinating how you paced that part of the episode. And then once it got into the review stuff, like of course that part was good as well. But that like the beginning of the video, the whole storytelling part, I loved all that.
That's cool.
For sure.
No, I appreciate that. I want to go more. I'm trying to pick more topics that aren't just, hey, I watched this movie, let me talk about it, but more along the lines of, I have some kind of investment in this thing, let me talk about it. I'm trying to do more of that because, like we talked about it before, the show is starting to get a little bit stale with certain episodes, and I don't want that to happen again. And inevitably, it probably will with like certain episodes.
There'll come a point.
But like, overall, I'm trying to be more mindful about the topics I pick.
Oh yeah, kind of like the Stan Lee episode, another one of my favorites. Where you talk about Ultimo or whatever. Just the whole story part of that episode, I really like that one as well. So you've done it before, cool. But the Minecraft one I felt was kind of an evolution of that.
Yeah, I love that episode. There's so many like funny moments too that just kind of go back to back, and I think it works pretty well.
Oh yeah, cool. I concur.
I brought back the Come Up, my personal podcast. That's pretty cool. I'm putting Your Everyday Nerd on Facebook and on Anchor. That's pretty high. And then what else? I feel like that's mainly. Oh, actually, there's a couple of other things. Movie Night, a podcast that Aden, Jay, and I did like a year ago. There was like a random episode sitting in my hard drive for forever. I finally was just like, let me just edit this and upload it.
Have we ever talked about that podcast on here before?
I don't know.
I don't know if we like ever have.
Maybe.
And we might have in like an episode a long time ago, but like for those who don't know, me, Zach, and Jay did a podcast called Movie Night where we review 2 movies, and typically the later episodes would also have topics that we would discuss in between them. They would go for like a pretty long time. And it was interesting because it was a lot of films like none of us had seen before, and so you would get reactions, hot takes, memes, all sorts of shit.
It was fun to do.
It was really fun to do. The problem was we couldn't get together to record it, and then after we couldn't get together to record it, we also like don't get together to watch movies a whole lot of the time. You know, like it's hard to watch 2 movies to then prepare to be able to record a podcast like that. But for a while we did it, like those 6 episodes are pretty good. Mm-hmm. But they're more of a standalone thing. I don't have any desire to go back to it right now.
That's fair. Yeah, I don't think I do either. Not anytime soon, at least.
Right.
But it's fun to do. Out. Yeah. It's like a 10-hour-a-week job almost. Because you have to watch some movies, like you said, and then do the recording, and then you got to edit it.
And that was also during that period where you were, like, making a channel for every podcast.
Yeah.
And so, like, we would do all this work, right? And then it would go on a channel with 3 subscribers and would be lucky to get 6 or 10 views.
Yeah.
Except for, weirdly enough, the episode about male-related movies, which fucking went sicko mode, apparently. I don't understand how that happened.
Yeah.
Like, neither of those movies were, like, amazing either. But for some reason, that episode hit bank.
Yeah, we talked about You've Got Mail and The Post, and that video's got 2,000 views.
Yeah.
For no reason.
I don't understand it at all.
I think it's just because nobody's talked about You've Got Mail on YouTube. It's like one of those niche movies. Like, I could probably do a Your Everyday Nerd on that movie, and it might do well.
You could, probably.
But I don't know if I want to, so.
It's, like, okay.
It's fine.
I enjoyed it, basically. If you want the short review of it, it's fine. Nothing incredible.
Yeah.
The Post was a lot worse, though. I hated that. Yeah. I still don't want to watch that movie ever again. I'm good.
No,
year or two later.
Me neither.
I'm done.
I've seen it twice.
I'm done with that film.
Finally, I recorded with Kyle, finally, for the Lions Aren't Gaming
stuff. Yeah, I heard. He was so excited.
So, getting that shit back together. Hopefully, I'll be recording some Fire Red with Aden again very soon. And then I, like, adjusted the Patreon, and I'm, like, trying to push that a little bit more, especially with the $7 tier now, where originally for $25 you could suggest a topic for me to talk about on Your Everyday Nerd. And Calfro signed up for that 1 month, and he said he would do it more, but it's like $25 is a lot of money. Mm-hmm. So I changed that to $7, so hopefully we'll see some more people sign up for that. I think it'll be cool to do more topics that people are more invested in as well. Mm-hmm. And then I started doing a little weekly newsletter on Patreon where I talk about literally everything that we talk about on this show every week, but like more in depth of here's the games that I played on Twitch and here are the, like, all that kind of stuff.
If you would prefer reading it rather than listening to an audio format, that works. But you only get Zach's side of the story, so you don't
that's true.
My end, which is what makes this podcast infinitely better. I'm joking. That's true. It's a good idea. It's a really good idea. Keeps things on track, and you kind of can look back and be like, "Wow, I did all this week."
Did all this in a week? That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Because I feel like with us and YouTubers especially, like once a project is done, it's a great moment and all, and you like watch the video and it's done, right? But like after that, on to the next thing. Just done. Right? And so you very rarely have any time to reflect on like what you just made. And so I like newsletters like that where you're able just to sort of write and be like, yo, look at all this shit I did this week.
Yeah, for sure. Because I'm starting to get back into the pushing out a lot of stuff like I did in like 2017. And I'm excited to kind of do that, put out a lot of different projects. But I feel like one of the reasons I still had some depression back then was I didn't really get to reflect on everything I'd done, so it was always the next thing. I think this will be a good way to wrap up a week and be like, all right, cool, I actually did do a lot this week, and it shows.
Yeah. Because you have something to write about.
Yeah.
Basically.
Pretty much. Cool, but that's the main stuff. Finally, we did a little thing together. That's kind of
we filmed the gay porn, everybody.
Yeah, you can go on pornhub.com/youreverydayBlueCouch.
If you subscribe to Zach's $50 Patreon tier, you get first access.
4K.
4K file rips. And then if you pay $100 on the Patreon, you get the Zack Snyder cut of the porn, which is pretty epic.
Yes.
It's just the same video but with like Dutch angles and worse color. That's it.
Oh my goodness.
You maybe get like one more exposition scene of like explaining the context, but like
right.
It really doesn't add a whole lot, I feel.
Exactly. And then there's like that one part where I just scream Martha.
Yeah.
That just becomes really a sex noise for like 2 seconds.
My boner kind of deflated at that point, but I don't want to spoil anything, honestly. Go check it out yourself. Yeah. Kind of give us feedback a little bit.
But gay porn aside.
It wasn't gay porn, everybody. Don't go look that up.
Pay me $50.
I like how you would do it for $50 without even asking me if I would be okay with it.
No, I'll promise something like that and not deliver it for $50.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm not doing gay porn for $50.
Oh, all right. You have a little bit of Irish.
$50 million, maybe.
50. If it's 50 million, we can make a porn empire. I don't know, like, whatever. Fuck it, right? Like, who gives a shit about YouTube? It's over.
Yeah. Anyway.
But no, it's actually cooler than gay porn, believe it or not.
I think so.
Me and Zach kind of came together to talk about mental health, which is something that we don't do often at all.
Right.
So it was this really nice conversation at good old 5 a.m. in the fucking morning. Super
fucking early. We're talking about like all these plans for YouTube and entrepreneurship related shit and all this kind of stuff. And Aden had basically said, he was like, this sounds really cool, but like I got to make sure my head's in the right place first. Mm-hmm. And I was like, yo, here's a wild 6 a.m. idea. What if we worked on our mental health and our regular health together?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We essentially came up with seven little guidelines, if you will. They're all pretty epic. I don't have the list of them in front of me right now. But they're all like were designed to help us sort of get back into a good physical and mental state. And we've been doing it now for like
a few days?
4 days?
Yeah.
3 or 4 days? We started on the 2nd.
Days. Yeah.
So we're kind of getting into it now, actually. Which is hype.
Yeah.
You pulling it up, I guess.
Kind of cool. Yeah, I pulled it up.
Okay. I had it on Twitter.
Yeah, that's why I pulled it up on Twitter. On your Twitter post. But yeah, so you want to go through the rules right quick?
I don't have it in front of me.
Oh, okay. I can send it to you.
Yeah, that'd be epic. Look how professional we are.
There it is.
All right, 41 episodes in.
I'm like, he could have just gone to his own Twitter page and pulled it up.
I could have, but that did not. This did better than the Sans tweet. Oh, that's kind of hype. It's kind of hype, actually.
Oh, yeah. Forgot to mention that Sans is in Smash.
Yes. Yes, queen.
It was kind of
hype. Okay. So, we discussed all these plans, and we basically boiled it down to 7 specific rules designed to get us in a better, healthy state. The rules are, number 1, water only. Number 2, bed by 12 a.m. Number 3, walk and run / 2 days rule. Basically, you can't skip 2 days, is the short end of that. 4, meditate at least 10 minutes a day. 5, shower and teeth every day. 6, food journal. Basically, if you eat something, write that shit down. And finally, number 7, stop watching so much gosh dang YouTube. And that one's probably the easiest because there's an app that does it for us. So
yeah.
I ain't even got to count hours down.
Pretty
It's just like after 2 hours, the app's like, yo, dumbass, fucking
get off of YouTube. LOL.
LOL. So, yeah, but all 7 of these I think are really cool. 4 days in, and some of them are definitely tougher than others. Honestly,
definitely.
Like the ones I'm probably having the most trouble with is number 1, bed by 12 a.m. Right? I feel like that was always going to be a struggle with just the type of shit we do and how active we are on Discord and YouTube and everything.
Yeah.
The past several days have actually been me going to bed at 12 a.m., only being able to sleep for a couple hours. I get up at like 3 or 4 a.m. I stay up until about 1 or 2 p.m., sleep for 3 or 4 more hours, and then go to bed by 12, 3 or 4 more hours. Right? So it was never like a good 8-hour sleep. It was always 2 specific periods of sleep throughout the day, and I was just up and groggy for the rest of it. But last night was finally the night where even though I had taken a nap for like 3 or 4 hours, when I went to bed at 12 a.m., I slept all the way till 9:30. And you know what it was that changed it? I was doing laundry. And I'm like, yo, let me wash these sheets or whatever. Because it had been like a couple of days.
Right.
And you know when like you get like fresh new sheets out the dryer?
Oh, yeah.
And you put it on your bed or whatever? Oh.
Shit feels great.
God, I was over it. And that pushed me. That was enough of a push I needed. I slept from 12 a.m. to like 9:30. So I slept pretty damn good today.
Yeah, going to bed at 12 a.m. is the thing that I've like fucked up on the most already. And it's like, because for a couple of nights, well, first off, we're on a different time zone. We're like an hour apart.
We are.
So like we've been in Discord calls a couple of nights and it's like, oh, it's almost 12 for me. It's not even close to 11 for you. And it's like, fuck, I gotta go get in bed, but I still gotta go shower and, do all this other shit. So that's fucked me up a little bit. But then also, like, last night, I got into bed at, like, 11:30 and then just couldn't sleep. And was up till 2.
That was my first night. It was just awful.
Woke up at 12:30. And it's like I've been waking up a lot later, too, because I'm just naturally tired all the time anyways. So one of the reasons I was foregoing a sleep schedule for forever is just because, like, I'll sleep when I need to. I'll get up when I need to. That way I can be up for 18 hours, but then I can also sleep for 12 if I need to, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to have to start setting, like, a solid, you need to be awake at this time, like 6 a.m., 7 a.m. type thing. Or I'm just going to be in bed for 12 hours. And that's not good for anybody because I got shit to do. And
no.
I
had set my alarm to 6 a.m. and was getting up around there for the nights that I couldn't sleep.
Yeah.
Because I figured by 6, like, if I still am wide awake at that point, I can, like, give up and be like, all right, well, I'm up now. Basically.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, that one's been struggling a lot. And then the other one, believe it or not, is the food journal one.
Really?
And not because, like, it's hard to do. It's not. You write shit down, right? Like, everyone can do that.
Yeah.
But just, again, realizing how much fast food I eat and how often it is through this food journal has really, like, opened up my eyes to, like, god damn, do I not eat healthy at all.
Yeah.
Just to give you an idea, I have it pulled up in front of me. September 2nd was pretty good. Omelet, bacon, hash browns for breakfast, salad for dinner, a little bit of Doritos here and there. Fine. 9/3, McDonald's, chicken biscuit, hash brown, yogurt fruit parfait, 2 bowls of cereal. Alright, cereal kind of cancels it out, but we still have McDonald's there. 9/4, 4 boiled eggs, hamburger, pancake, and potatoes for dinner, and then McDonald's again. And then 9-5. That was Jack's breakfast that time. Chicken biscuit and tater tots. 9-6 today has been not only McDonald's, but like I mentioned earlier, Captain D's. So just already in like the first 5 or 6 days has just been like, ugh. And it's not been like, it's been because like we're busy and we do a lot of stuff and we're like, oh man, I really don't want to cook anything and all this sort of stuff. Like,
yeah.
But it just how constant it is and how daily it is. It's just like really been sort of an eye opener of like, okay, damn, I really need to start eating better.
No,
so that
I
one
get it.
sucked for me.
Mine's a lot of like microwavable foods, so it's like every single day so far has been like 2 quesadillas at least, right? Like just shit I can put in the microwave real quick. But I'm out of quesadillas, so that's unfortunate. Yeah. But then it's gonna start switching to like 2 burrito, like, you know, it's like fucking shit that you can put in the microwave really quickly and fix.
Those have been the 2 I've struggled with. The rest of them, walking and running, I've loved doing. In fact, I actually got some running shoes today because I've had slip-ons and like flip-flops for the longest time. Like I don't need running shoes, but now I have some, so like I'll be more inspired to do that. Showering teeth has been awesome. Like my hair in general just feels a lot better every day when you do it.
Yeah,
shower every day. My teeth, even like first day kind of sucked because my gums were bleeding constantly. But like by the time day 4 has arrived and with water, it's just been like so much better. Like I get a little bit of blood sometimes just because, but it has been significantly less, and my teeth already feel better than they do most days. And then the YouTube one, there's some cheats involved in the YouTube one. You can put it in incognito tab, or sometimes I'll do it on mobile, because there's no app on there. Like I'll do it that way, and then sometimes I'll do a thing where like, all right, I'll justify it to myself and be like, I'm not technically watching this. I need noise to go to bed, so I'm gonna leave this on, but I'm technically not watching it still, so it's fine. Yeah. But I need some noise to go to sleep, and so I'll leave it on for a couple hours.
That's fair. I got some similar things. Well, like my issue with the YouTube thing is I realized how much, because I've been getting back into the content creation side of things a lot, like I'm really, really fucking busy almost all the time now again, and not just spending a lot of time just laying down being depressed. So it's like a lot of the time that I have YouTube open, like I have the comments open for this podcast right now. I have, uploading shit, or the Nintendo Direct, which I needed to watch because I was going to make a video about it. Or like these things that are a lot more tailored towards content creation. So I really haven't been spending a whole lot of time watching anything on YouTube in general over the past week, which has been kind of cool.
But the other ones, like I'm having a good time with. What about you? Like, what are the ones that you're struggling?
Besides,
or not at all.
The like bedtime one, I think I'm pretty good. Trying to get the motivation to go walking again has been a little frustrating, but I told you like the Pokemon Go thing, like there's a lot of shit going on with that right now, so it's not been the worst thing in the world. I still got to go walk today, but I'm gonna do that after the podcast.
Same.
Because then I got a live stream tonight because today has just become really busy. Other than that, I think I've been pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I've been pretty good with everything else. The food journal thing is just like, it sucks that I'm eating unhealthy. Gotta fix that.
But at least now we know, right?
But at least I now know exactly what I'm eating in a given day. It has forced me to not like overeat shit, because I was telling you, one of my biggest issues that I found out recently is like, I'm depressed, I'm tired, I don't want to do anything, so I'll just go to the kitchen and fix me something to eat. Not particularly hungry, but I'll just do that. And so I haven't been doing that, which is nice.
That's dope. We made him pretty lax to the point where like none of these are impossible to do.
Right.
We made him pretty like, even the walking and running thing you can skip a day. Even the meditation one only takes 10 minutes. Like shower and teeth don't take that long. Food journal is just writing stuff.
Right.
Water only might be like the heaviest out of all of them because that's like a pretty big restriction if you're just jumping into it cold turkey.
Yeah.
But both me and Zach were already kind of transitioning into that anyway. And so it wasn't like as big of a deal for either of us. Like the water only might be the easiest one for me. And for most people, I feel like water only, what the fuck? Like that's impossible. It really isn't. Like I thought I would just hate drinking water and it not having a taste at all. But like now that I've done it for the past couple of days, having drinks with taste in them are weird now. So
really,
I don't know. Yeah, flavored stuff is weird in comparison when water, the thing that we get from like the clouds and the rain and all that shit, has no taste to it at all.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. No, that one's been fine.
Been
and we've
fine
had
for
a
me
couple
too.
of people, Jay and other friends, try to tackle some of these themselves, and it's been really nice seeing the support from everybody. Patient in particular has been on my ass about a couple of these things, and that's been really helpful.
That's good.
But no, we've had a really good response from everybody being like, "Yo, fucking, you want to do it? Go do it," and we have been. So I'm proud of both of us, honestly, for making it this far. The first couple of days are always the hardest.
Me too. Just like even trying it, I think is better than not trying. You know, actively trying to do better in general is always a good thing to do.
We're trying to hit till October 2nd,
Mm-hmm.
and then after that point, it's like, how many of these we'll continue to do, we'll have to see. Or if we come up with new ones or what the plan is. But for now, like,
Do some reflecting.
I'm enjoying it so far.
Me too.
I'm enjoying it.
It's been dope.
I concur.
Cool. I think that's everything then for this week.
Your week on YouTube trademark.
It only took us 42 minutes this time.
Wow. Not an hour?
I know. I'm sorry, guys.
Crazy.
I'm sorry.
We'll try harder next time.
Absolutely.
And it's weird because we have more stuff to talk about than we usually do. But yeah, we got through it a lot quicker. So yeah. I don't know how the fuck that happened.
There's no fucking telling, honestly.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's transition into that big topic, boy.
Yeah, versatility on YouTube, or however you want to word. There's a lot of ways you could actually word this.
Yeah,
I'm thinking of it in my head.
For sure.
The main idea being that as a YouTuber, you are not just a video creator, but you put on many different hats, learn many different skills, work on many different creative avenues, and not only just that. If you thought we were talking about just that, you're crazy. We're also talking about kind of a little bonus topic hidden in there, all the different mindsets required to pull off all this sort of shit, which is probably the side of it that I'm a little bit more interested in, but I want to touch on both for sure.
Yeah, so one of my favorite things about YouTube is that I can take all these different skills, all these different interests, and put them together into one like main project. And what's nice with like content creation in 2019 and going forward is that it's not even just on YouTube anymore. You know, like we talked about streaming and podcasts, and I talked about like writing, and we've talked about music. So like there's all these different projects that we're involved in. And as a content creator, as somebody on YouTube, like you kind of have to have all those things to succeed.
It's weird thinking back to like when YouTube first started in 2005 and how many of the things you just listed like either didn't exist or weren't as easy to do as they are now.
Yeah.
Or like if you were a YouTuber in 2005, which granted the term YouTuber probably didn't come around till like several years after the fact.
True.
And most people didn't even make money on it until several years after that anyway. But you get what I mean, right? If your creative focus was just on YouTube and you were, quote, a YouTuber back in 2005, the idea of also streaming and doing a podcast and writing a blog, like the tools and the software and the availability of a lot of that stuff just wasn't really around.
True.
Like you could live stream, technically. I don't know on what. But you could, right? Like, you could do a podcast. but only if you were going to learn about how to produce it and where to distribute it at, like, and pay money for it. You could have a website and you could write blogs, but you're also probably paying for that as well. Whereas now, in the wonderful world of 2019, all the stuff that we listed, you can do like for free and easily, and it's recommended, and it's like really cool.
I agree. It's such a cool time to live as a creator because you can literally do all of this stuff for free or at minimum costs. And that's really cool.
And just how much of it has grown in like the past couple of years too. It's just great. There's still stuff like soon, right?
Right.
On the horizon that I'm just like excited about. I'm excited with like multi-streaming. I'm excited with like VR and AR stuff and what that could potentially mean.
A lot of other audio stuff.
Audio stuff is another fun one. Like there are constantly new horizons coming up all the time. So like by the time you're listening to this, maybe 3 or 5 years later, like the ecosystem might have changed again to the point where like, yo, maybe podcasting isn't as big a deal anymore. Maybe it's like something new and on the horizon. Who knows? Like I can't predict the future 100%, but it's really cool to see where that goes. But like the basic concept of, hey, if I just make videos, shouldn't I just focus on making videos? Is understandable. I get where people come from when they say that, but expecting all your growth, all your creative potential, everything you do to just be focused on like one skill set won't get you anywhere fast, basically.
Right.
It will take a lot longer to get to probably where you want to be creatively, financially, success-wise, if you just do YouTube stuff. Which is why all these other options are available and why I recommend people get outside that YouTube bubble into other creative headspaces and learn a lot of those skills in the first place.
Right. And I think there's a few reasons behind that. Like the first one is definitely comes down to like financial well-being, right? Like you don't want to expect all of your money to come from YouTube because it's very unreliable, and demonetization, AdSense problems, copyright, all that stuff exists. So like having another place to make money is always good. But then also I think from a creativity standpoint, I become a better speaker in my videos from doing podcasts. And I am able to relate more to the audience from doing live streams. And my videos... Go ahead.
You're able to write scripts better when you're constantly posting Medium articles, right? Like
exactly.
It all connects. And it becomes... just makes your content better, I think. I think people worry if they do live streaming and podcasts and stuff like that, like, why am I wasting time with this sort of stuff anyway when I could just be doing videos? And you're absolutely right when you say it all connects to each other. Like, you're not wasting time. You're actively growing skills that will help you in videos and make that stuff even better. Mm-hmm. But, like, you're also putting yourself out there more. From a social standpoint, the more things that you're involved in and can get out and provide value to people in more than one specific way, the better you're off. Because think about all the people that use the internet and think about how many of them just watch videos or just read articles or don't have time for either and would rather just listen to a podcast on the way to work, right? Think about all the different people that use the internet and how they interact with content, and realize that if you're only like doing one of those, you're only appealing to a specific type of person, right? When you could instead shoot that wide net, do a lot of different things, and get more and more people involved. I just think that's a smarter way of going about it.
I think so too. Also, it's like when we talk about niche versus variety, because we've done an entire episode on that. We've talked about it a lot. You know, this concept of variety channels are dead on YouTube. If you're going to do a YouTube channel, have it be in a certain niche. For me personally, I've said it before. I said I do still prefer variety. Like there's so many things that I'm interested in. There's so many things I want to talk about. It sucks that I can't just have it on this one YouTube channel. But when I looked at it more along the lines of, wait a second, I could still talk about these things. I can still make content around these things, just put it on a different platform or on a different channel or something like that. It becomes more of a strength to have this variety nature than a weakness. And I think that's really cool.
And just the kind of content that you want to produce and make also depends on what platform you put it on, to the point where the idea that you may have had for a YouTube channel turns out works a lot better in a podcast format.
Right.
And you would have never have known had you not tried it out, right? Like, you would have never have gotten to that point. Different ideas and different content works better in certain context sensitive areas and different social media platforms as well. We've talked about that before, of like the type of content that works on Twitter and Facebook and all these different places. And the same is true for content and all these distribution platforms, of how you get your message out there, how you tailor it to a certain thing, and which of those routes is ultimately going to be the most successful. It's all fascinating stuff. I will say though, like, as a general rule of thumb, if like, I say do a podcast and I say stream and I say try all these different things for sure, but like, don't do it out of obligation, and don't do it out of we told you so. Do it out of like a legitimate passion and an idea to create something, right? Because the last thing I'd want you guys to do after listening to this podcast is being like, oh, I better go start a podcast and a Twitch stream, not because I want to, but because these YouTube men on a podcast told me I should.
Yeah,
and it's like, no, you should, absolutely, but like, don't do it if you're not passionate about it, right? Like, you know, if you hate live streams, if you hate podcasts, if you hate writing, don't force it on yourself. The whole idea that we're getting across here is just to at least experiment with that sort of stuff, to try it in the first place, to see if it would even work and if it would fit your skill sets. And frankly, here's another thing. A lot of that sort of stuff is not going to be easy the first time around. It's not easy to do a podcast and talk to yourself when you've never done that before. It's not easy to write articles when you don't have experience in doing it, right? It's not easy to live stream to nobody if you don't have an audience starting out. Like, there are 1,000 little technical and creative problems that comes with all these forms of content, and it's not going to be easy at all if you decide to go down that road. But I think it's at least worth experimenting and trying out. And if you are like good at one of them, and if you are successful in one of them, trying out these other things too, I think can just sort of build that portfolio, build that resume, build your creative skill set, so that even if you don't want to do this forever and you're not the creative entrepreneur type, you can go work for somebody who does appreciate that stuff.
Exactly. But yeah, just by like experimenting with all these different types of content, I've been able to, you know, pursue different freelancing gigs. Just because, yeah, I could edit your video, but I can also edit your podcast. I can also turn your video into an article. Like all these different types of content. I'm you know, again, it comes down to that versatility.
Why do you think like platforms like Fiverr exist, right? Why is there such a demand for graphic artists on Twitter? Why are people constantly looking for editors? Is like, when it comes down to it, there aren't a whole lot of people in these skill sets that truly know what they're doing. And through being a YouTuber and through making your own content, it's easily the funnest way to learn all that stuff, rather than in like a classroom environment, or, you know, out of a obligation to want to make money or whatever. Like, if you learn it for yourself first, like, that's going to be the quickest and best way to pick up all that stuff, so that if you want to work for other people, you can do that too.
Yeah, so, for sure.
I think that's dope.
But let's I want to transition a little bit into the mindset behind this, because when you have to be like, have a good on-camera presence and write a good script and present your topic in a way that's entertaining or educational, plus you have to like know what you're doing as far as filming it, make sure the audio sounds good, edit the video, publish it, market it. Like, there's all these things that you have to do to make the perfect storm. Some people can feel overwhelmed with all of this.
That's true.
And that's kind of where the mindset aspect of YouTube comes in.
I have a story that goes with that. a little bit of a personal one too.
Mm-hmm.
So back in the early days of Blue Couch Productions, it was just I turned on my webcam, I turned on my microphone, OBS, record. Right,
Mm-hmm.
the startup time to recording time was like 30 seconds basically. Once I got it down and once I knew what I was doing, it took very little time at all.
Mm-hmm.
Come to now, and like I was saying, I was filming a Back to the Video Games yesterday. The amount of setup work that is required to get that show ready to film. I'm not talking like filmed, I'm not talking editing, I'm not talking note taking, all that sort of stuff. I'm talking about the simple act of setting everything up to film an episode takes like 10 to 15 minutes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
By itself, if not more. Because not only do I have to get out the two big lights that put light on the green screen, the two smaller lights for the sides, then I have to get my tripod out, then I have to get my camera out, and then I have a little HDMI cord that goes all the way to a TV because the little flip out screen is so small that I can't see it. So I have a TV to make sure everything is in focus. Then I have to get a stool out to sit on it so I can get the right height. Then I'm adjusting focus, right? Then I'm getting the microphone on top of the camera, and just on and on and on and on. By the time like an episode of Back to the Video Games is like done and filmed, it's a mess in my room because I like have all this B-roll stuff, pieces of furniture to film stuff on, green screen stuff, water bottles everywhere. It's hot as hell because I don't have the air on. All my blinds are down to get more inside light in here, and so neighbors probably looking all the time, and it's weird as hell. Like, all of this to produce, at the end of the day, less than a 30-minute video. Mm-hmm. And the amount of time it takes is just like, oh dear God. This takes so much time. But I do it at the end of the day for like the result of a better product, honestly.
Right. For sure.
I do it out of a passion and out of a desire to constantly improve. I never would have gotten to that point of all that filming, setup, and lights and all that sort of shit if I didn't first recognize what my videos were good at and what they were bad at. And that desire to improve led to all that equipment and all that set dressing and all that sort of stuff. And that was 100% a mindset thing first, and then money and equipment thing later.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I mean, it takes a lot of time for you to figure out. It's why people recommend go make your first 100 videos and then worry about growing. Then worry about making your videos better. Then doing all these different things. Because those first 100 or however many videos you make at the very beginning are going to determine what you need to improve on. What you need to get better on. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know about you, but like a lot of my early videos are not worth watching for multiple reasons. Not just one, multiple. The video quality's bad, the audio quality's bad, I sound like a 2-year-old, I don't know what I'm talking about, like, so many things wrong.
And your case is interesting, especially because most YouTubers today need like 100 videos to get that baseline, that foundation, and then improving off of that. I would argue in your case for Subbejan Games, it's like 1,000. It takes about 1,000 before I'm like, all right, now the good stuff, right? Like, right. Imagine being told in a business meeting that if you were to invest in me and my content, that it would not get good until after 1,000 videos. In 6 or 7 years. Like, nobody would. But like, Zach did, right? Zach thought that. Zach had the mindset and pushed through all those years and improved things along the way to the point where now, like, your everyday nerd is fucking awesome. But like, it was 1,000 Binding of Isaacs, 1,000 Dream Daddies, 1,000 Batman Arkham Asylum videos before we ever got to that point. Yeah. And the reason that improvement is there is not equipment, it's not money, it's that mindset and that drive to improve.
Yeah, 100%. It was literally like my first 300 videos are bad Let's Play videos with awful audio, awful video, and then I improved and I got a capture card. And then it was, it's like slowly but surely it took a lot of time, a lot of effort, because I didn't have money to improve equipment. So I had to work up to get that money to improve the equipment. And then at that point, it was just you know, I wouldn't argue that all 1,000 of those first videos were awful. I think there's some good
a couple
shit
hidden
there.
gems.
But it's like most of it not worth watching. It took a lot of time for me to get my commentary, my on-camera presence, like even just with it being audio for a lot of those, it took a long time for me to feel comfortable with it. And it really wasn't until 2017, 2018, and some of the stuff I've put out this year that I'm actually proud of the shit I've put out.
Right. And I guess that's the thing with like us specifically is like people can kind of get the impression that like we're pretty new to the YouTube game just based on our subscriber count and in your case your new channel, right? In my case, back to the video games, and my other side projects like Lions Honor Gaming and Monthly Valley starting up pretty recently. A lot of people would get the impression that we're very much new to this, and like me and Zach in some form or another have been doing online video for a long time now. Right?
8 years.
And the reason that impression of we're still new and young at this is because a lot of that older shit is gone or hidden at the very least. And so I think that's what people need to realize is like, man, how did Aden get this good to start out with? And the answer is he didn't. There's a lot of garbage that never got past the YouTube upload button.
My actual first 100 videos are either deleted or privated. My first video, I mean, we've talked about it before, but like my first video is just like a Windows Movie Maker trailer for a show that I wanted to do. And the show's been canceled since, right? Like there's just so much garbage there, and it's because it took so long for me to figure out exactly how I wanted to do things, exactly how, you know, the timing, the pacing, the script writing, all these different things. But that's where having the mindset to do that, to push through that, really comes into place.
And I feel like for a lot of people, that can sound very disheartening. What? It could take me up to 7 or 8 years before I really like what I'm doing. Like, what? It'll take this long before I'm able to get all the stuff to produce something like back to the video games. What? It'll take me this much time before I can finally start live streaming to something remotely good. And it can be disheartening for a lot of people because, like, man, that's a lot of time. That's a lot of work. That's a lot of hours. And the bottom line is like, none of this stuff comes free to anybody. Like, it didn't come free to PewDiePie. It doesn't come free to Philip DeFranco. And it certainly doesn't come free to people like me and Zach. Like, all of this shit takes time and dedication. And what's going to push you through is, again, not only that mindset, but that passion and willingness to do it. If I hated it, I would have no reason to spend as much time on all the shit that I've done. Otherwise, like, it doesn't make sense. Like, from a business perspective, it makes no sense to put out 60 midnight vlogs if I hate doing it. Right? It doesn't. I hate it. It doesn't make me money. What's the point? But I loved it, right? And I still love it. And it still doesn't make me money, but I still love it. And I still love that improvement that I see every day in videos and such. And for many people, like, it's disheartening. People want to give up pretty easily. People think that they're never going to reach to the high points of the heroes that inspired them. And I have a very long way to go myself, but, like, I don't know. I like that drive to get there. I like that journey. I like the process of it.
Same.
You know? So that part's fun to me. And for a lot of people it isn't. And, you know, that's a bigger issue, I think.
Right. I say that it wasn't until like 2017, 2018 that I really started making things I was proud of. But, like, to be honest, every single video I uploaded for a very long time, I would say every single video I've uploaded, I had some kind of interest in, right? I enjoyed doing that for some reason. I enjoyed doing that. And I look back on it now and I'm like, a lot of this is garbage.
Yeah.
But it took a lot of that perseverance and dedication and kind of gradually getting better at what I'm doing to get to today, where it's like, I'm very confident in some of the shit that I put out now, and that's really cool.
Yeah. I'm glad for you. I'm happy for you.
Thanks, me.
but like YouTube and like content creation in a nutshell is this constant process of thinking like you have it down, thinking like you understand everything, thinking that you finally got it all together, and then uploading a video and then realizing
I could have done that better.
Every day for me. It's this video is so good. I spent so much time on it. I showed it to Zach and Jay. They love it. My audience loves it. All these little things. Is that B-roll out of focus for 1.5 milliseconds? Yikes. Trash video. Next project, please.
Yeah.
And obviously I'm exaggerating, but you get the idea.
Yeah. I think that's one of the it sounds like a negative, but honestly I think it's a positive. Every single project you do, and again I'm saying like I'm proud of some of the shit I've put out over the last couple of years, but even then I know there's shit I can improve with it. Mm-hmm. Right? Like I'm really happy with the Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chaser Everyday Nerd that I put out this week, but I'm sure there's other things I could have done with it to make it better had I spent a little bit more time on it, whatever. And it's taking that and putting it into every new project you do, right? Every new piece of content you put out, just internalizing, I can do better, and then trying to do better.
Right.
To eventually the point where it's like, nobody's going to notice what you did better in the next thing. But as long as you're happy with it, like, that's what matters.
That's ultimately what matters.
Right.
And definitely some people move faster than others, I think. I feel like the people who are really successful on YouTube and the people who have made names for themselves are people who are able to do what we just said, but under such a speed and consistency that, like, they fucking killed it.
For sure.
If there's any particular weakness of myself, is that, like, I get the process, I get the idea, I can learn it, I can do it, but man, am I slow, number one, and two, I'm not consistent with it. And that's why people like Scott the Woz fucking grew in such a period of time. Because not only, like, you watch his early videos, and you can see pixelation, you can see blurriness, you can see issues with the set. Like, early Scott the Woz, I'm telling you, go back and watch it, and compare it to one of the more recent episodes, night and day. A night and day difference in video and audio and scripting and topics and thumbnails and everything. But he did it in like a year and a half, and Aden did it in like 3. And I'm nowhere near where he's at yet.
Right.
But all big YouTubers understand that principle to a certain extent, but they're able to work a lot faster and are a lot more consistent than I am.
It comes down to like this Gary Vee quote that I really like, and it's macro patience, micro speed.
It's a great quote.
And it's something that I've like realized for a long time, but I'm only just now starting to go back into that. And it's the concept of expect this thing to take 10 years to build, but work really, really fast and really, really hard. So that you're not like, so that you're internalizing, like I said, internalizing every single little thing you need to fix, but not really thinking on it too much and moving into the next thing, because that's when you're going to have the most amount of growth and experience, really.
Yeah. I think even now there are so many videos me and Zach could have put out, but to either because of life circumstances, creative differences, mental issues, or whatever, thousands upon thousands of videos from me and Zach that could have been made, never got put out, from all different time periods.
Oh, for sure.
And they just never got made, right? And it's like, that sucks, but like, that past is the past, you gotta keep moving, you gotta keep putting out shit. Like, I don't know. Like, had everything gone right for Blue Couch Productions, would it have only taken a year to get back to the video games? Would it only have taken 2 to get to a point where I like really love the show and I'm producing it like weekly? You know, like how much time would it have take had things have gone a little bit better in the mindset department first before I focused on all the nitty gritty YouTube shit later, right? Like, I don't know. I'll never know. But the best I can do now is to try and improve that pace a little bit in year 3. So.
Exactly. That consistency thing, it's really the hardest one, I think. Because like with Your Everyday Nerd, I started it in October of last year. And I was gonna have 6 videos a week. And immediately it went off track. And so like had I had gone with that, I would have over 300 something episodes of the show.
Yeah.
And that's wild to me.
Yeah.
And so part of the mindset of YouTube and this content creation is obviously like the growing, the making better stuff, the making more stuff. But it's that consistency thing, and that's where you got to start tailoring it to your specific needs. Because like I realized recently, I was like, well, I could go back and do 7 episodes of Your Everyday Nerd a week. Every single day we have a new episode. But let's be honest with myself. I'm doing all these other projects. I'm not going to be able to adhere to that schedule. And that means I'm going to have a week, maybe 2 weeks of everyday episodes. And then I'm going to get off track and I'm going to go without a week without putting anything out. And then we're going to have a week with 2 episodes. And
yeah,
I was doing the calculations. I was like, okay, if that happens, I'll probably end up with another 100 episodes this upcoming year. But it'll be inconsistent and the growth of the channel will go barely anywhere. Or I could plan for 3 episodes a week, make that consistent, and I'm still going to have about 100 episodes. But I think the growth of the channel is going to do a little bit better that way.
Sure. There is almost definitely a bit of self-awareness at play here too, of what you can physically do, how many projects you can tackle, what your skill set is and what it's best at and what it's worst at, and how you need to tackle that sort of stuff. I'm gonna be honest, like it took me a very long time to figure out like what I was good at and what I wasn't so good at, and what I could improve on and all that sort of stuff. And I would set up lofty goals and lofty expectations about where I could be, when it's like those goals and expectations were never honest to myself to begin with. It's like, of course they didn't fucking go anywhere, right? Like, Aden, why'd you write this shit down? Because other people did it. That's why. Because you saw other YouTubers and other big people put out a lot of content and think, that, in the perfect world, these goals and expectations could totally be met. Aden doesn't live in a perfect world. Aden constantly fucks shit up constantly. Like, why did I ever expect to be able to hit such a lofty thing? And that comes back to self-awareness. That comes back to knowing what you're good at, knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, and being able to honestly and accurately schedule, set goals, make the content you want to make, and do it the best you can. And that's a very hard thing to tackle. That's something I'm not 100% good on. That's something I see a lot of people struggle with, especially early YouTubers, of coming to figure out themselves in the process and being honest with themselves. This is a tough thing.
Yeah, it's something that I'm constantly doing, constantly trying to reevaluate like where I am, and like the bigger picture. Like even last night, I stayed up a couple of hours later just because I was like thinking and I was overthinking things. And I'm like, man, I realized that I feel like I've kind of plateaued in the video editing side of things because I haven't taken the time to learn anything new in like a year. And so it's like, on one hand, I'm definitely getting better with pacing. I'm definitely getting better with like storytelling. But on the other hand, what other cool, wacky things could I be doing with videos if I took the time to learn how to do that?
Right.
And so...
you don't know if you're not putting stuff out. You know?
Right. I have no idea.
It all comes back together.
It's a struggle. But, yeah. I guess like part of this mindset is constantly feeling like you're not good enough.
Yeah.
But I would argue that what's cool about that is that you can constantly improve yourself as well. I feel like a lot of regular jobs, corporate jobs and stuff, you get put in this rut of doing the same thing every single day, and you just kind of fill a quota. Don't really feel like you're improving yourself or learning anything new. And one of the things I really like about YouTube and content creation is that I'm constantly learning something new. Right. Constantly working to improve myself, or I feel that I'm plateauing and need to like push that a little bit more.
You felt like you fell in the quota.
Right.
Like, God damn it, I'm making a fucking quota again. I'm not making art. Like,
right.
I'm just putting out shit to put out shit.
Exactly.
And there's definitely like a little bit of that creative balance and also like work balance stuff where like how much work is too much, how much creative energy am I really putting into this, or is it just designed to get the algorithm happy? Like there's a bit of business and stuff that definitely clashes with a little bit of the creative stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And being smart about that and really figuring out how to appease both sides of it is another critical aspect to that mindset thing of like, yo, it would be really fucking cool to like just start out a comic channel out of nowhere, but to be honest, business wise, it is probably an awful decision right now in YouTube's current landscape. And there's several niches and several topics and several ideas that like would be totally cool to do, but from a business perspective, make absolutely no sense. So as like much as I would want to tackle this and this and this and this and that, there's a bit of a skeptic and a realist in me that's like, yeah, but video games, right? Like, yeah, but personal stuff. Yeah, but like, you know, maybe over here, right? And that's right. Not to say don't try these things. Try them if you honestly want to. The passion will carry you a good part of the way. But like, having a bit of money is also a good thing too. Call it a sellout, call it greed, call it whatever you want to. Being able to financially support yourself through your career, your creative career, is a godsend. And certain topics and certain ideas will not get you there currently.
Right. Or it's a very contradictory thing because honestly, you have no idea. You have no idea what's going to happen until you do something.
Try it out.
So definitely try out anything that piques your interest, but also, you know, try and have a little bit more of a realistic viewpoint on things as much as possible. It's not easy. I think, I mean, we continue to say, like, none of this shit is really easy. But I think it can be rewarding on both ends of the spectrum, for sure.
One of the things that, kind of to build off of that too, one of the things that me and Zach talk about a lot is we do so many projects, right? So many side projects, so many things, that it becomes hard to really put into perspective which of these things matter, and in what context do they need to be in to succeed and to do well. Mm-hmm. And it comes easier for certain projects than others. Like another YouTube podcast, I get the goal. I understand that it brings value to people. I know how we can record it, when we can record it, how to keep it growing, all that sort of stuff. It's fun for me. It makes sense business-wise. Me and Zach have a ton of fun doing it. It's therapy. And it also, like, makes sense for both of us creatively to work on something like this, I feel.
I agree. Yeah.
Whereas the fucking monthly Battle League, like, I don't know. Right? Like, obviously it's important to the community, but, like, competitive Pokemon battling that only has a couple of videos once a year and then for the rest of it goes dead for a period of time. One could argue it's not the best like strategy to go about things. And I constantly wonder with like podcasts and other side projects and shit that I'm involved in. Lions Honor Gaming is a big one that we've already kind of talked about, so I won't get into it too much here. But constantly wondering, am I doing too much? Am I doing too little? Should I cut these things? Should I go even bigger into these things? Am I not giving enough energy and time to Lions Honor Gaming? Could I be going 100% if it would lead to somewhere quicker? I don't know, honestly. And I'm constantly having to reevaluate that sort of stuff and best figure out where my time could be spent and where my creative energy especially could be spent. Exactly. Because I understand that, like, I can't make everything. I can't do everything in one day. How am I best gonna help myself, like now and in the future as well?
Right. If I could do everything I wanted to do, like, you'd be seeing way more shit come out of me, like, every single day. But the realistic angle of it is that that's just literally impossible.
It very much is.
But yeah, the creative energy side of things, really, that one speaks to me a lot, because it's like, I'd love to put out a video on Lions Iron Gaming every single day that I'm in, but like, creatively speaking, like, I don't have the energy to do that.
Right. Yeah.
I like, not even close to the energy that's needed for that. So yeah, it's kind of frustrating.
Whereas like this podcast clicked from day one.
Yeah.
Right? Sure. Like, and it's a side project. It very much is. We don't put it above Blue Catch Productions or Your Everyday Nerd or whatever. Like, it gets recorded when we can. But like, the idea of it and the goal of it and what we both wanted to get out of it were pretty clear and honest from the beginning. And I feel like it's been one of the major successes in terms of side projects, where like, look at what we fucking made together. Like, this is awesome. I love this. Yeah.
So like, some actionable advice out of all that. Yeah. I would argue, like, whenever you're like contemplating doing a new project or a new channel or whatever it may be, try your best to kind of conceptualize who it's for, how it will help you creatively, how it will help other people, and try to have not necessarily goals, but almost a mission statement for it. Because like you said with another YouTube podcast, we very specifically know who it's for. We know that it helps us as well. And there's a lot that a lot of people can get out of it. Mm-hmm. So the more you can kind of figure those answers out for your own creative projects, the more that you can kind of gear them towards something that you feel inclined to do as much as possible, rather than just something that, I could do this today, I guess.
Right. And most people, like, don't fall into that. Like, most people just do one YouTube channel, one major series, upload it consistently, and get to where they want to be, right? But, like, even if you just do one channel, like, the idea of what videos you put out, what type of content you make, all that sort of stuff can heed sort of Zach's advice of being like, is this a good fit for the channel? Is this a good fit for my audience? Will I have fun making it? What business sense does it make? All this sort of stuff. And like I said earlier, like, I'm still very much tackling all the shit I do. Same. And being like, okay, does this fit in with what I want to do in 2020? Does this not fit? Like, when a new year starts to come up is when I really get into high gear, being like, yo, all right, let's figure this stuff out.
Right. And a lot of it, again, comes down to self-awareness. You may realize that in your life, your position, what you want to do and what you need to do, you only need to do one thing and you can do it really well. Mm-hmm. But then again, maybe you want to go do 1,000 things and do them all fairly okay. Like, it really just depends on your own personal journey with all of that.
I concur. Yeah. I really do.
Cool. I don't think I don't have anything else to say on this topic.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else I maybe forgot about or didn't bring up. Yeah. But I think we kind of covered most of it. But basically, to summarize a little bit here, is just that none of this shit comes easy. None of this shit comes naturally. It's a lot of roadblocks. It's a lot of contemplating. It's a lot of wondering, like, am I doing the right thing at any moment in time? And most importantly, like me and Zach said earlier, it's that desire to want to improve and to get better with what you do and being passionate about what you do. It's this huge mix of emotions and things, and I'm not even 100% sure, like, I've got it down myself yet. But I at least try to improve it and think about how I'm going about things and whether it's healthy or not. And health is a whole another aspect to it.
Yeah, for
Obviously,
sure.
Don't work yourself to fucking death, basically. But yeah, it's this big thing, and it's not really talked about a whole lot of the time. Because it's not sexy, it's not interesting, it's not like a fucking catchy YouTube title and a thumbnail, but it's incredibly important to how and why you create videos and create content. Mm-hmm. And as far as the versatility thing, it's just like, try out a bunch of different shit, man. Just see.
Yeah, because like it's already gonna take a lot of different skills to do just a YouTube channel, so you might as well like grow those skills by doing other shit too.
Mm-hmm. Don't pigeonhole yourself into thinking you can only be one thing online. Yeah. I feel like a lot of people do that early on, being like, I'm gonna be a YouTuber and nothing else. Like, you don't know. Fucking try. Who knows? You don't know at all. But a lot of people want to limit themselves for some reason, even though there are like no rules on this stuff. Like, you can do a podcast tomorrow if you wanted to. There's no reason why you couldn't, other than your self-imposed restriction on what you should be, right? Like, fucking don't pigeonhole yourself like that. There's a big wide world of content out there and different ways and paths to success, and everybody's is different, and you're never gonna find your own just by like watching a podcast or following your favorite YouTuber or being like, I want to be just like PewDiePie. You gotta try shit out. You gotta fucking see where that goes and follow it. And we're trying to follow it for sure.
Yeah, it's really cool for me to like watch a YouTuber talk about this one thing, and then out of nowhere they mention one of their other interests, and I'm like, whoa, you're into that too? Like, that's dope as hell. Like, that's something I'm also really into. It's really cool to kind of connect with other creators on that kind of level, and I've started to see it with my own shit. Like, I'll put out a video about I'll put out a video on the personal channel, and I'll get a comment from someone who watches every episode of Your Everyday Nerd and listens to the podcast, and they'll say something like Ramzan. He was like, yo, I really appreciate you putting out these personal videos about like your career and stuff, because it helps me out a little bit more on like what I want to do. I'm like, wow, that's really cool. Or like Patient, who watches everything that all of us do. Like, it's crazy. Like, you never know who in your already existing community is going to connect with you on a deeper level just because you decide on something different on a different platform or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And
experimentation is important for sure.
I agree. It's a cool little thing,
and it's definitely a skill to master and to learn. Be versatile, have a good mindset, and create, ultimately.
Right.
Like, make shit. You know?
That's the
we've talked about like all three of these things before, but it's nice to have them a little bit in one episode, I think. So
I agree.
Yeah, that's it for me.
Cool. Well,
before we get into comments,
yeah,
I know you were gonna hop into that shit, but I want to instead take this time before we get into comments to answer a question from a fan, our pal, Jay the Zoom Zoom. Jay the Zoomster left us a question that we ultimately weren't going to do a full episode on because we've already kind of covered it. But it's a good question, and I figured, like, before we get into comments, let's answer his question for fun.
Yeah.
Why not?
Cool. So he says, an interesting thing I've thought about is when is too much in terms of editing. Sometimes I get in a rut because there's a lot of stuff I want to do with the video and think I should do to make it good. But honestly, it doesn't need that much pizzazz. Not sure if it could be a whole talking point, though. So there it is.
Yeah. Definitely not a whole talking point, but like an interesting point in general. Definitely when you're starting out, for sure, editing is like the least fun aspect. So typically you're like putting the video in there, you're making sure it looks good, you hit render and you go, right? Because there's no expectations, there's no like desire to improve this at all. You want the video out and you want it out now. But as you continue to like watch stuff and make stuff, like eventually editing kind of plays a bigger role into how you make content, and ultimately makes better videos in general by editing.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, all right, okay, what can I do? And more importantly, in Jay's case, like what should I do here? And I think that's interesting.
I think so too. I think the more I get into editing, the more I ask this same question. Like, what should I do in this video? And the biggest thing I've kind of learned is like, okay, I know I can do a really cool transition here. Or I know I can pop up a little cool thing here that'll be good for the span of like the entire channel. So like I work really hard on like these graphics or these little intros or outros and very specific things that kind of tie the entire show or channel together. And then after that's done, like I can just put it in every video. And so that really helps add some more pizzazz to the video. But in terms of like individual videos, I feel like I try not to do too much for the sake of it being like, oh, I can do this. Like I try not to do that, but more along the lines of, does this work in this video? Does this work with the pacing? That kind of thing.
I think the big question you would need to ask yourself to sort of answer this is, what is the project and what does it call for? Right. If it's the personal channel, not much, basically, is the answer. Like, make sure it's functional, right? Like, it fucking works. Yeah. Add your little bit of music that you do, right? And then, like, call it a day. The importance is not the edits and what's on screen, but the content and what you're talking about. And that's the focus. So, like, that's how much editing you should put into it.
Exactly.
Whereas your everyday nerd, like, obviously it's a show, right? And a show has a lot of things going on visually. One of my big rules with back to the video games as of recently is sort of figuring out how to provide as much visual interest as possible. I think it's boring as hell when people do a show and all they do is sit in front of a camera for 30 minutes and nothing else.
Yeah.
Like, that bores me to a crawl. Spice up some things, guys. Add borders, add transitions. Do that cool little Ask Zach thing where, like, the text scrolls at different speeds and they're going at a fucking diagonal angle. Fucking jump cut more. Zoom ins. Add in bits. Add in comedy. And hey, for the love of God, if you're talking about a piece of media, show the piece of media. Like,
for sure.
You'd be surprised how many people just talk about this sort of stuff and don't show examples. Or for music, like, at least show the album art, right? Like, I understand copyright is a big thing, but people don't understand you can get away with a lot if you know what you're doing.
Definitely.
And so I think that's my big rule with bigger shows and how much editing you need to put into is that sort of rule of visual interest of having something on screen. And I don't mean like fucking spam every second with a flashy animation or an intro. It means pace that stuff out and be sure that not one shot, not one scene goes on for too long and is boring to look at. And we all get better with this over time for sure. But like, back to what I said earlier, what does the project call for? What video are you making? And ultimately, I think that'll help you get to the point where, like, how much you need to edit in.
Yeah. I was in a call with Roberto, and we had, like, some other people in there, and he was trying to help, like, somebody with their viewer retention. Because we've talked about it before. Viewer retention is, like, what percentage of viewers stayed this amount of time in the video? And you'll notice, like, for a lot of people, if you go into, like, your YouTube analytics and you start looking at that viewer retention, there's a lot of people that kind of just cut off at a certain time. And, like, some people cut out in the first 30 seconds. Some people cut out in the first couple minutes. And it's been very interesting for me to look back on my individual analytics and see, why did people cut off at this particular time? Going back and looking. Maybe it was because I was in the same frame for 2 minutes, not really doing a whole lot of visually interesting things. I don't know. But Roberto was mentioning Mr. Beast's channel. And it's like, he does so many jump cuts in just like the first 30 seconds. And it can be a little obnoxious to watch, but it obviously gets people's attention.
People don't like have infinite time, you know? Like, imagine the stuff you watch and how much expectations you have for the stuff you watch. Imagine if your favorite TV show for just one episode just decided to sit in front of the camera for 30 minutes.
That'd be wild.
You would be pissed. You'd be pissed as hell, right? But, like, some people, even people who know better, who know that they could be doing more, and who have the ability to, even, simply choose not to. and then just wonder why it doesn't go anywhere. Like, you have to have some form of visual interest. Another thing that helps a lot too is pacing stuff, obviously, of knowing when to make a point, how long that point should be, and when to get off of it, right? What's your big point of the video? What's the smaller points of the video? That sort of stuff. But that's just more like getting into producing a big show and not necessarily what Jay's asking for here.
Right.
Ultimately, it comes down to what you're making in the project, I'd say. For you specifically, pilot season and like big top 10s or videos like your Breath of the Wild video, put in an amount of time that will make you satisfied with the video, right? Like, you know, that's the type of shit people really come for and really like on your channel. Like, put in work to correspond to that. Whereas, like, episode 3 of Titans recap probably doesn't need much. I'm gonna be honest. Like, you're fine. You're fine. Don't worry about it. Whatever. And then this also kind of ties into time management too, and how you spend your time and where that energy goes to. But that's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But that's what I would say, I guess.
For sure. Cool. Are we ready to get in the comments?
I think for real, we're ready for some comments.
Okay. I kind of include that as a comment.
Action.
It was a DM, but like it's pretty close. It's the same thing.
It's basically, and it's something I kind of wanted to talk about too. So
same.
It's interesting.
I agree. So, we have 2 episodes of comments. You would think, that's not a whole lot, because usually we don't get a whole lot in there. But then, of course, we have the Patient Bible, for episode 38. And then 2 smaller comments on episode 39.
Okay.
So, do we want to split up the Patient comment, or how do we want to do that?
You read the first one, and
all right.
When I get over there, I'll do another one.
All right, I'll read the
38 and 39.
Yeah, so 38 is the one with the big ass comment. So 39 has 2 quick comments, and one's from Calfro. It says, "I'm anti-white." And I was thinking, what is this even referring to? And then I remembered we talked about BitChute.
Oh, really?
And I think that's what this is referring to. So there's that. And then Patient said, question of the day, I am incredibly depressed. I'm also apathetic towards living. Does that count as a hobby? And I'm like, I can't even remember. We were going to talk about apathy and stuff because we had Jay on the show. Unfortunately, we lost that part of the footage. So we didn't put that out in the episode anymore. But yeah, I don't know how to respond to that.
I guess no, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't count that as a hobby. If so, I need to make a channel surrounding it because I also sometimes am apathetic towards living.
Fair enough.
She recently said that she was getting some epic what's it called? Therapy.
Ooh, okay.
So that's kind of hype.
We out here.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get some of that shit sometimes too. Sounds hype.
That'd be dope. But yeah, thank you for the comments on that episode.
That was a weird one. That was a really weird one.
It was a weird episode in general. Like,
yeah,
I'm glad people liked it, but like, it clearly wasn't what it was supposed to be either.
Yeah.
So it was weird. Anyway, the comment on episode 38 about editing. I might need to edit this comment if you know what I'm saying. It's a little
honestly
long. The pacing on this comment is just like I could chop up a few things.
Jeez.
Gotta put it. Written by, of course, Patient. A Bible as always. Here we go. Let's get into it. She starts by saying, sorry, Aden, but Zach would absolutely deck you in a fist fight. Even with the gun, you'd lose. Well, I don't know about that. Is this like an AR-15? Is this a pistol? What type of gun am I holding in my hand, right? Because like, if it's something complicated, like a shotgun where I don't know how to load it right away, yeah, probably Zach's winning. If it's like a little thing where I just press the trigger and it's over, I feel like I'd give the advantage to myself in that case. It depends.
It depends on where you shoot me at.
Right.
Because I'm stubborn and I have a lot of determination, so I'd still be fighting even if I got shot.
I'm historically a bad aim in games like Fortnite and such, so I'd feel like you'd have a bit of an advantage in being able to kind of like matrix dodge some bullets here.
Right.
So, there's that.
Oh, maybe that's a game theory episode right there for sure.
Game theory. It's an impossible question, and it needs more analysis. So we'll have to get back to you on that.
Definitely.
Next up, she says, just going to touch on the equipment thing brought up during the Week on YouTube section. I am a perfect example of not needing a ton of expensive equipment to make videos. I use a laptop I've had since 2012 and video editing software I got for 25 euros on Humble Bundle. Is it euros or is it pounds? I always forget.
Sure.
It is.
It's one.
Whatever. Fish and chips currency. I sit on my bed with a small wooden foldable table that we got from my sister when she dislocated her knee the second time. Admittedly, I do have Photoshop for thumbnails, but I had that prior to even considering making videos and a Switch to get my footage, but I've had that since 2017. I wouldn't say these two count since I didn't get them with the intention of working on content, but I still make shit. Sure, I could buy a capture card and a better PC, maybe even better editing software to up the quality. What I have now is fine. This hasn't been a financial investment for me, and I'm not pressured into getting my money's worth out of what I use. Making content isn't supposed to be an investment from the get-go. Now we just need to ignore the fact that it takes me almost an hour and a half to upload a 1-minute video.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Agree.
Right?
Completely agree.
Absolutely. Listening back to that episode and the situation that we were talking about, and then figuring out a little bit more about that situation later, I 100% even more am down with the sentiment of please do not fucking blow money on this right away. Or even a year or two in, I think, is a safe bet. Until you're for sure. And you can at least make money, right?
Right.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I started YouTube because I wanted to, not to make money. And it wasn't until I got serious about it that I started spending money on this.
Right.
But even then, it's a lot of the money I've made back has been from editing other people's stuff. So it's really, really think about that kind of thing before you start spending money on it.
And I love this example she brings up of already having a Switch in Photoshop before she ever did content creation stuff. I think a lot of people don't realize just how much stuff they have in their house currently that could be used for a YouTube channel.
Yes.
And instead of using that stuff, we'll go out and buy shit, right? You fucking have all this cool stuff here, and you're telling me you need to go buy more stuff? I mean, I get it, right? If you're a gaming channel, a capture card's a good idea. But you have a PC, and you have OBS. Why not make some magic happen with that first? Or a fashion channel, right? If a girl loves buying clothes, and she has a lot of clothes, and she starts a fashion YouTube channel, why not just go through some of the stuff in her closet first before going out and buying all the expensive dresses and stuff? Surprisingly, people have hobbies and have a lot of cool stuff that would make for awesome YouTube content, but they don't showcase that off in an attempt to, I don't know, look more professional, I guess, right. or wanting to spend money on stuff before they get started. Is I have retro games because I like playing them, not because of YouTube, right? There's a lot of free content there that I could have started out with, and I did for a couple of videos off that. But no, people want to go spend money first. Use what you have, guys. You have an iPhone, you have fucking all this cool stuff, you have outside lights. Make the most of what you have.
I agree.
So, I like that line.
Me too.
Next up, she says, the best bit about me watching the 10-hour supercut, the Your Everyday Nerd 10-hour supercut to be specific, was that the audio completely fucking desynced about 2 hours in. So I wasn't watching it, I was listening to it.
She was the only one with this issue, too. That was the really funny thing about it.
I haven't watched it, so I can't confirm or deny if the desync is real.
It's still uploaded. If you want to check it out.
Okay, I might have to.
It's there.
Syncgate, if you will.
Syncgate, yeah. I don't know. Everybody else listening to the podcast, let me know. Do you get the audio desync in the 10-hour supercut of Your Everyday Nerd? Please check it out so I can run this experiment.
But only do it if you've seen all 10 hours, right? You can't pussy out.
All 10 hours.
The 2 hour mark.
If you fall asleep during it, you gotta rewind and get back.
Yeah.
What a great idea. This is just a ploy to get a lot of watch time.
I mean, it works. So.
Yeah, it seemed to work, yeah.
All right, so now we get into Patient's video editing process. She says, so going off of this, my video editing process is wildly different to both yours. That's probably due to how different our content is. You both make longer, more detailed videos with a lot more clips and footage and music, etc. I make quick montages with a lot of fast cuts and timing. I go into mine with little planning. I get my clips, go through them, and rename each file so I know what is in the clip and the specific moments I'm looking for. Usually doesn't take me too long. Then I just think and visualize a rough idea of where I want the video to go. And based on that, I then go nab whatever music track I'm going to use. Take example for my video for Ganon. What kind of sentence is that, Patient? Take example for my video for Ganon? Okay. I knew I wanted to go a bit more serious and aggressive with it, so I went with music from Doom 2016. It was a bop. That song's a bop. I don't know what it's called, but I might have to go listen to that soundtrack now.
It's a good soundtrack.
Before I even hit the editing floor. From there, it's hard to explain, ? I decide on my opening clip and work from there with the music. I find the moments in the track where I want certain gameplay moments to sync with it. Note them using the little flag thing in Vegas and do those first. Usually I have to go over them multiple times, rewatching and listening to try and make sure it's synced as best as I can manage. Like, that shit hard. Once I have all the important moments synced, it's then about filling the gaps between each sync. That's probably the easiest part since it's mostly going through clips and rewatching to make sure it flows. Since my upload speed really limits how much I can actually upload, I limit my videos to around 1 minute, though hopefully I'm going to push that with the next one. Because they're so short, it usually takes me anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half of editing. Unfortunately, even though that process doesn't sound too long, it's only half the story. It usually takes me days, sometimes even multiple weeks, to actually get enough footage that's usable. Luckily, getting the footage is the most fun part for me since it just involves me playing Smash with friends, lol. This process works for me and I've gotten some good results so far. That was fun. I liked reading that.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's a really cool story. I like how that shit is made. How the sausage is made, if you will.
Yeah, for sure. It's cool. Because for those that don't know, Patient does little Smash Bro montages. And that's what she's talking about. And I agree. Yeah, they are pretty good.
It's not the type of content I make at all, and it's probably like a totally different ball game from what I'm used to. But I would love to like kind of experiment with like shorter, like real short videos of like a minute or so, and just see how much I can get across in such a limited amount of time.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But no, like I have my own creative limits too. Like I purposely make Back to the Video games less than 30 minutes long out of a pacing concern for sure. So I understand. I understand the issues with that. Next up, she writes, thumbnails are really easy for me because of the camera feature in Smash. All I really need to do is get a good photo, which isn't hard, put it into Photoshop, add some basic text, and it's done. Also, a big shout out to Aden for showing me the basics rapid fire on a Discord screen share. I don't know why, but I found it hard to find Vegas Pro 15 basic guides that weren't complete ass. Yeah, so she had asked me how to do a couple of things, including render settings, and I just kind of showed her very quickly using some basic footage in Vegas and Discord screen share, like how to do basic cuts, how to put flags, some render settings, stuff like that, zoom ins, all that sort of fun stuff.
Yeah.
And she appreciated it, so, you know.
That's cool.
The worst thing I've experienced so far is finishing a video, rendering it for 2 hours, and then realizing, oh shit, I accidentally left excess footage in the timeline after the actual end of the video, and it's extended for much longer than it should be. That fucking sucks so much. If I didn't watch it back, I wouldn't have ever caught it. Gotta watch stuff back, man. Gotta fucking... I mean, I've done it before.
I've done it so
I like
many
get
times.
An idea halfway through the render. I'm like, oh, you know, it'd be better. Stop the render. It's at 50%. I'll do one little thing and then render it again.
Yeah.
It sucks, but like makes the video better. So hey, what are you gonna do? And then final section. I'll just read the rest of it in one go. Feel free to skip this bit since it's just clarification from my comment in the last episode. Follow up on my comment from this, specifically talking about how providing evidence is imperative to dealing with callouts. James Charles is an insane example of someone coming out with the receipts and completely turning the narrative around. That man, as hemorrhaging, I think is how you say that, subs, like 3 million, until he dropped a second video on his drama providing evidence and calmly debunking every single point brought up against him to the point where they just can't be argued. Evidence is enough to turn a narrative completely on its head, and these weren't petty claims. Man was being accused of sexual assault, which is a claim very few people can come back from. It can be done. You just need the receipts. I have to say it in a pro Jared way to really get the line. I love how he says it. He just says, I have the receipts. And he does this little look at the camera when he does it. And it's just like,
it's almost
it's the
like
best shit.
Where's the zoom in the Seinfeld music, right?
Yeah. That would make a great TikTok. And if someone hadn't made that already, that'd be fucking brilliant. She follows up. She says, question of the day. I'm experienced enough, I guess. I know enough to get by with what I do. Make sure to check out my channel, by the way, by clicking on my name. Hee hee. Topics, I guess you could both pick out some of your first videos on your current channels and new videos on the same channel and see how every aspect has changed, evolved, or maybe even devolved. And that was the comment.
Yeah.
Look at it go. So a couple of things here. Number one, go check out Patient's channel. If you haven't seen these Smash montages, you really should. I'd recommend the Ganondorf one a lot. It's a solid one. Secondly, for your topic, we already kind of did something like this. I'm not sure what episode it is specifically, but we have covered a similar idea before.
Yeah, we talked about like a bunch of our videos that we were pretty proud of or that we learned lessons from. Mm-hmm. Episode 37, what we learned from making videos.
It's a good one. It was the last episode before the hiatus. 6 month hiatus. So
isn't that wild?
I can see why you'd forget it. And then the final thing about the James Charles thing, I never really followed that, to be fair, so I'm not sure. But all I could think about during her comment was that Twitter picture. You know the one. And it kind of distracted me from any point she was making there.
Yeah, the James Charles thing was something we probably could have talked on the podcast, but we weren't making any episodes at the time. Sure. There's the Pro Jared situation as well. But I'm going to be honest, I don't want to talk about either of them. I don't feel like
me neither.
We can bring anything new to the table. We've already kind of talked about cancel culture and the negatives and all that kind of stuff. I think I'm done talking about it.
I guess I will say that me and Zach have talked about it a good bit off camera. And it's wild what the internet is like and mistakes and how you deal with them, I guess. Through the James Charles thing and the Pro Jared thing, I kind of picked up a lot about like what mistakes are big enough to get rid of you, which ones aren't, how do you respond to them, what do you decide to include, even something as simple as your body language and your posture during a video and how you talk during an apology video is like a huge thing, right? Like it's this weird complicated art of like the perfect apology video, and I don't think anyone has quite mastered it yet.
No, they haven't. No,
because all of them seem really weird or flawed or disingenuous, or why did you bring this up? Why did you not bring this up? It's this big thing. But yeah, I don't think anyone has like perfectly figured it out yet, I'd say.
Because I think at the end of the day, a lot of it comes down to negative bias. And so if you don't like the person to start off with, or if you don't like the person because of some stuff you heard about, like you're going to bring that negative bias into their apology video or whatever kind of video some of these people make after a big situation, right? And all you're going to be thinking about, well, this dude doesn't seem disingenuous, but maybe he is genuine. Like, we don't know. Right. You know, this dude doesn't seem like he's bringing the right facts, but maybe they are facts. You know, there's a lot of this kind of, again, having that negative bias towards somebody definitely affects how you're going to feel about that person after the situation, regardless of what really happened. So,
and I think also, like, another big thing is, like, time and virality. Mm-hmm. When these topics are hot and are interesting, everybody's all ears. Mm-hmm. But, like, typically most people don't stick around for the other side of the story. And even less people stick around once it's not a popular Twitter thing anymore.
Yeah.
So after a certain point, I find many people, including myself, just kind of stop caring after a while.
For sure.
And so it can be really important, no matter what side of it you're on, to, like, kind of get it out relatively quickly before people give up on you, right? Like, at a certain point, it's kind of, like, over and dead in the water. And it shouldn't be that way, absolutely. But that's, like, how messed up Twitter and the YouTube algorithm are. Where, like, getting your side of the story and proving people wrong, if it's not done within the YouTube algorithm system, is, like, not important anymore. And people will straight up not listen to you or only believe the first take that they heard. Like, the first person to show up, the first impressions play a huge role in how people sort of digest all this. Whoever makes the first accusation, whoever makes the first video, whoever makes it a popular topic to begin with, all this sort of stuff.
Right. Yeah, that's just kind of like the sad thing for me, because it's like I don't like shitting on people just to shit on people. There's like certain types of people that I think they deserve the backlash and they deserve the punishment and whatever it is. But it's like at the end of the day, a lot of people just make like a little stupid mistake, and I wish that they could just kind of grow from it and move on. But the internet doesn't like that. They like dragging people, and it's kind of sad.
I definitely think like one of the growing pains we're gonna see in the next couple of years is sort of the ability to forgive, I guess. We're certainly not there on the internet and social media and YouTube as a whole. And granted, some things are not worth forgiving, obviously. But like, use common sense for a lot of this sort of stuff.
Right.
And you'll be fine. So, I don't know. But that's it. Thank you for the comment, patient, as always.
Heck
Appreciate it. I loved hearing your process of editing and stuff. And I'm interested to hear what your comment is on episode 40 and this one as well.
Me
whenever
too.
you get around to writing that. Thank you to everybody who wrote shit in general. Also, you can write your own comments on YouTube, on the other podcast platforms, or on the new official email. Zach, what is it?
AnotherYTpodcast@gmail.com.
That is AnotherYTpodcast@gmail.com. One more time, AnotherYTpodcast@gmail.com. Call in now. Call in
now. Yeah. We're running a special on Aiden's feet pics.
Aim feet pics. If you're one of the first 400 callers, you get access to the free miso book and a picture of my feet. That's a deal no one would want to miss out on. All right? No one. And you can get it. Also, again, another thank you to our sponsor, Awesome Creator Academy. Go check out that stuff in the description below and support our podcast at anchor.fm/another YouTube podcast.
Heck yeah, boy.
Support us however you want. It'll really help get the episodes back. But we're back, baby. We're consistent again. We're making episodes, and I'm excited.
Me too.
I hope to hit episode 50 by the end of the year. That I'm just gonna throw it out there.
Yeah.
I'm a hope.
Me too.
But like, we'll see.
Should be cool. But yeah, and we're always looking for new topics.
Oh yeah.
So new topics are gonna be epic.
Please, for the love of God, new topic. We want to start doing interview stuff eventually. Yeah. I promise you. That is like the future of the podcast. But until then, like, topics help keep the world go around. Yeah. So, and stuff that we haven't already covered too. Like, be sure to look at the channel page or the Anchor page to like check if we haven't already covered it in some form or fashion before.
Definitely. But anyways, I've been Zach.
And I've been Aden.
And thank you for listening to this episode of Another YouTube Podcast.
Bruh.
Bye. You gotta bruh it out.
Bruh.